G'day, beautiful souls. Liz Ross here. I wanted to talk on the importance of self-care and rest and tapping into our feminine energy. I help a lot of neurodiverse women to create healthy relationships, and I really love what I do. And I've just noticed this particular theme this week and today, where a lot of my clients and a lot of women in my community, my free community, create healthy relationships through healing, which I'll share at the end for people that like links, have been feeling overwhelmed and burnt out, which causes stress, and then they feel stuck and they feel alone. And I've just had a lot of women reaching out this week asking for support with all of that. And yeah, like, I see you and I hear you. Hello, how are you? Hello, you're okay? You're okay? It's quite windy, so you might not be able to hear me, and I'm like, I haven't done an outdoor one for a while, so I'll just do the best I can. Yeah, so a lot of the women are feeling stressed and overwhelmed, and they're not taking care of themselves. So I just wanted to talk into that and how we can take better care of ourselves and why it's important. And I think it's through understanding our energy style. What does energy style mean? Well, I'm not an expert in it. I know a little bit about it, but maybe the wind might help if I stand this way. So energy styles or personality profiling, when we understand our energy or our innate personality, and you can talk to Valerie Andrews, she's an expert at that, we're able to understand our values, our functional and dysfunctional energies or personality traits, and we're able to understand more of who we are. And through understanding our energy, our personality needs, so our energy needs, because within that you find out, because I've done e-disc and my partner have, and it's through when we understood ourselves and why we did the things we did and why we behaved the way we did and why we thought the way we did, because sometimes couples or individuals may feel like there's something wrong with them, but it's just because, and there's nothing wrong with you, it's just that we all have different energy levels and things that drain us more. So if I give an example, and this will all relate back in a sec, if someone's more introvert, or it takes them a while to process data and information, some people in relationships might get offended that that person isn't ringing or texting them in the dating world, for instance, right? Or why isn't my husband or wife talking to me? It's not that they're not meaning to do that. It's just them, they might be thinking about or processing or contemplating in their own space and in their own time and energy style what that discussion or communication was. Okay, so it's not to offend anyone, but that naturally might be that person's natural personality and energy. And so we need to honor that. And when we know our energy style, so other people might be more, I'll keep walking, other people might be more extrovert or forward or charismatic and talk a lot, which is totally fine. That's that person's natural energy, and they thrive off being around people and talking and all of that. And so those extrovert people do well in industries that talk a lot. You know, they're all part of the communities, they build each other up. That's great for that energy or personality style, because their go-getters are on the go. Okay, so both or different energy and personalities are great at what they do. They all have strengths and weaknesses or things that they're working on. Okay, so when we understand our natural energy, so for instance, if you're more of a dominant energy or an influencer energy. If you look at the EDIS linguistics or language, that may mean that you're more direct, okay, or to the point, you're faster at making decisions and that type of thing, okay, and that's okay. We can learn to tweak the tonality for people that might be a little bit more aggressive in their tone. But with that said, like, that's great and they thrive off that. And then we get other people that might be more the S or C energy, so steadiness and compliant energy. So they're slower at making decisions. They might take their time to get back to you and stuff. So the dominant and compliance energy are the masculine energies. So one makes decisions fast, and the other one, this the compliant, looks at the data first before making the decision because they want the decision to be right. This all relates to dating, right? Because some people go out in the dating world and they're like, yep, they're the one, I want to date them, let's make it happen. Then you get the other ones that are like a C masculine energy, who are, they're more shy and introvert, and they can see what they want, but they may not be direct communicators. So they may imply interest, okay, through how they look at you or flirt with you, okay, but they might not be as direct. So a compliant energy may be like, joke around and be like, hey, you should ask me for your number, right? Whereas the dominant masculine energy may be more like, hey, can I have your number? They're more direct, okay, but they both have an interest in that woman, okay, or whoever they're wanting to date. So they've got that interest, okay, but see how they're both masculine, but one's faster at making decisions and more direct, the other one's slower, and they communicate slightly differently to the dominant, okay? So the dominant energy could be for any gender, doesn't matter what gender. So knowing our energy and knowing our personality, we're able to take better care of ourselves. So if people are in industries where they're working in the wrong occupation or career, you may notice, the wind's probably really bad, that if you're becoming overwhelmed or stressed or tired a lot, obviously go to your GP, get your blood checked, make sure your hemoglobin and iron's doing okay and your oxygen's okay and all of that. But it's really thinking about, to the politics, like, is the role that you're working in, is it good for your personality and energy style? Okay, for instance, I've got 3 of the 4 energies, and I don't mind data entry, or like I can do data entry and I can do research and I can do all the science stuff. And then my IS energy, I can talk to people, be out the front, do public relations, talk about the upcoming events. Like I can work in a few different roles. Okay, so we've got strengths. So when we understand our strengths through understanding our energy, we make, you start to understand, like, who am I and what do I value, which helps you in every area of your life. Because, for instance, if I stayed in healthcare full time, like, I became burnt out for a few reasons, because I wasn't in the right environment that uplifted me. I needed to be around people that shared the same values. Like, we're here as a team together to get the job done, and we're going to be transparent and honest with one another. And, you know, if there's any conflicts, which there's conflict everywhere, we're going to talk it out and we're going to work through it and we're going to create a better plan. That's how I work. But some people don't work that way. They like to be the top dog, they're super direct, and they don't like people growing. So they will put people down, and that's just their personality. They're in the dysfunctional dominant energy. Okay, so there's a dysfunctional and a functional for each one. So when we understand who we are through understanding our energy and personality, we can be like, am I working in the right environment? Am I in the right relationship with my partner? Am I in the right relationship with my friends and family? What needs to change? Firstly, do I have a good relationship with myself? Because if you're working in an occupation or industry that drains you, you're going to hate it. Like, this relates back to relationships. You're going to hate it, and it's going to affect how you feel about yourself, what you're thinking about yourself, and what you bring back home, and your social life on the weekends. Yeah, so we can Hello. We can strengthen the tools and we can learn the different energies. Okay, I'm not denying that, but we all have a natural energy and personality that we're born with, that's created in that first, 7 to 21 years, like 0 to 21 years of life, right? In the environments, the way our brain functions. So like I said, for me, I can work in I jobs, S jobs, or C jobs. So I can work in influencer energy, steadiness energy, or compliant energy. Okay, but the D energy, I don't have any D, which is the dominant. So it's like, I understand how they think because I've done the course on it, and I understand now how to talk to them. And then I thought, I wish I knew this like 10 years ago. I would have done better around those people, the dysfunctional ones. The functional Ds, I don't mind. They're quite functional. They're just direct. I'm fine with functional dominant energies because they're not completely an arsehole or a bitch. They're just like, hey, I don't like that. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Thank you for that feedback. Done. But the dysfunctional are like, I don't like that. You're an effing see you next Tuesday. And you're like, whoa, like they're going off and they're criticizing people because of their own insecurities, right? So when we understand our natural energies, then that's going to help us so we don't get burnt out, stressed, feeling alone and stuck. And so the neurodiverse women that I've been helping feel stuck and overwhelmed, and they usually message me when the stick on the camel's back's broken. So they're crying, they're upset, they're like, I've been watching, like I need support now. I've been trying to do it by myself and I just need some support and accountability. How can I create a healthier relationship with myself? How can I create a healthier relationship with my husband? How can I spend more time with my kids? Like I don't have the time in the day to do all of that. And I think they're working, some of these people, these women are working in the wrong energy. They're not working in their natural. So their natural energy might be quite similar to mine. They might be very IS or C energy, or have all three, and they're working in careers that are more dominant energy. So they might be working in tradie jobs, okay, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But if they're not a dominant energy or a compliant energy for those particular tradie jobs, it's going to be difficult for them to enjoy the job, because it's one thing to be good at it. You can be really good at psychology, or you can be a great doctor, you can be a great pilot, okay, in the Defense Force, but you might not have a passion for it. Okay, so people can have hobbies that they love, but as soon as that hobby becomes a full-time career, they might not have the passion anymore. So people, like, everyone can be good at everything, but what one thing are you really, really good at that you're passionate about, that you can do every day? Okay, because that will help your relationships. Okay, people are in their full-time jobs probably more than they are at home. So if you can be in a job or career where people love and respect you, you're gonna feel better at home and in your relationships. Some people can separate professional and personal. High five, well done. Some people can't, and that's okay too. However, it does still affect the people that tell me that it doesn't affect them, because you can contemplate and process it and see the problems, but if you don't have someone to talk to you to say, should I do this or that, or this is what I'm thinking, you might not get the not the reassurance, it's like the confirmation to say, yeah, I already thought of those 5 or 10 puzzle pieces, but I didn't think of those other 5 that you just added in. Okay, so I just want to simplify it now. So self-care comes back to knowing who we are. What's your natural personality and energy? And what environments are you hanging in? If you're hanging in a job that you don't like, how can you have a good weekend with your family or friends if you have to go back to the job you don't like on the Monday? That's what I'm getting at. Self-care is holistic. Okay, it's holistic. We've got to have balance, and to have balance, we've got to understand what doesn't work. Okay, so what are you passionate about, and how can you take the steps towards that passion? Is that studying a course? Is that connecting with someone to a mentor, a coach, psychologist, family member, friend, to just steer you in the right direction? It might be that that person knows 100 people or 1 or 10 people and can refer you to them, so you can research that next step, so you can be in an environment where you feel good. You can be yourself. You feel a significance. You feel a sense of purpose. You're like, yeah, I enjoy this. I can do this without feeling drained or burnt out or stressed. Okay, and then self-care comes naturally because you're then not stressed about money or income coming in. You're then not staying up late at night stressed and worried about your relationship with your partner. Okay, and the self-care will then come naturally. So what you could practically do, you're probably thinking of a practical step. Write out an energy audit on a bit of paper. Energy audit. Put a positive sign and a negative sign. On the positive sign, write out all the things that energize you. Okay, it might be walking. Okay, it might be water. Like today I did an ice bath. Dan just bought us a new ice bath and he's really into it. And I'm like, all right. And he didn't realize, he sort of said, it's warmer than usual. It's only 11 degrees. That got me in. Okay. But I didn't do it when he suggested it. He just sort of just said a comment. And then I saw it looked really beautiful. It was all open and ready to go. It had been cleaned out. He'd added extra parts to it because some people, for some reason, don't do their job properly. I say that with love. He adds to people's efforts. And then I'm like, hopped in. I'm like, all right, time it. I'm in. And he was a bit surprised. I think he's like, oh, you're in. And I'm like, yeah, you said it was warmer than usual. It wasn't warmer. It was a placebo effect. I was telling myself it's like hopping in a hot bath or a warm bath, and it was not warm. It was icy, right? And so when we do things that energize us, like an ice bath or walking or the gym or whatever it is, that's a form of self-care. If it's 7 to 9 hours sleep a night, if it's this and that, that's going to help you in your relationship with yourself. You're going to feel more energized because you're well rested, you're doing your self-regulation techniques, okay? And then you're going to have more positive interactions with your friends, family, and your partner, okay? And then you're going to be able to ditch the environment, such as shitty-ass workplaces that might bully or it's not healthy for you, and you're going to leave them, and you're going to feel better because eventually, because you're like, oh, that environment didn't suit my energy or personality style and didn't share the same values. Therefore, I'm going to respect and value myself and open up my own business or work in an industry that shares the same values about community and respects one another. Okay, so I'm not settling anymore. So it's not just about not settling in relationships. It's about not settling in a career that doesn't serve a purpose. Okay, if it doesn't serve a purpose and you're not feeling significant, why are you there? Okay, so we find a strategy for people. And then when you look at the negative sign, the negative things that de-energize you might be people that talk a lot. So some people get de-energized. So if I'm hanging out with someone that's super introvert, they don't like the talking. So I adapt like a chameleon. And I read them and I'm like, all right, it's a bit hard on live, but I'll be like, okay, that person doesn't like talking. I'm only going to talk about things they're interested in because that, okay? So what de-energizes people might be Okay, let's talk about that. So their workplaces, negative people, gossip, scrolling, drugs, alcohol. It might, allow people to be tired and they're not feeling the best, right? Those might be de-energizing. So then what I want you to do is focus on what energizes you. Do the things that energize you. That's a form of self-care. Okay, that will fill up your battery. A form that isn't of self-care is doing the things that drain your energy. Now, if you want to keep draining your energy and hanging out in relationships or environments that drain you, that's your choice and decision. But you're worth more. Okay, you're worth more than all the shit that people put on you. Okay, you're worth more. And I'm speaking for people where I was in 2018. And like, there's always a way out. Okay, that was 7 years ago, a long time ago, but I can remember how that felt like, to feel stuck, overwhelmed and burnt out and stressed. And I would hate for other neurodiverse women to feel that. And so you're not alone, okay? And you can step more into your feminine energy or your natural energy, and you can have self-care. You just allocate your self-care in your calendar. Okay, so today I slept in, spent time with my partner and did a lot of the paperwork and data entry in the business. So I look at numbers, not just income numbers, I look at numbers, because you've got to look at all the numbers. Okay, so it might be subscribers, followers, whatever it is. Okay, you look at the numbers, then you can say, okay, well, I need to improve in this area. Okay, that needs improvement. So what can I do? What strategy can I do to improve in that area? Okay, so it's, we've got to have self-reflection days. We've got to have audit days. Okay, and it's the same with relationships. You just did an energy audit. What energizes you? What de-energizes you? And do more of what energizes you. Now, the reason people stay stuck is they're stuck in habits and cycles. Well, this is the routine. This is what I've always done. Well, I've got to do it because it's all about the kids and my husband. No. Okay, it's great that we put our children first. Totally agree. But they fit into our world. Okay, they need to fit into our world. If we go to Europe, they're coming along. It's part of it, mate. I'm sorry. Until you're 18, you're following us. Okay, that's the rule book. That's how I roll. So they fit into your life. Okay, that's part of the routine, the morning and nighttime routine. That's part of the consequence. Okay, yes, they're going to cry and chuck tantrums. That's called being adaptable to change. We all have to adapt to that. That's cool. We can roll with that. What I'm saying is, if the parents or the people aren't putting the oxygen mask on themselves, how can you put an oxygen mask on your kids if you aren't fully oxygenated? If your brain's not hyper-oxygenated, okay, because and that's a metaphor, how can you know where the pediatric mask is to then put on your kids? To put it on properly, so it's properly sealed, so they're getting oxygenated as well. So if parents or women are not fed properly, okay, if they're not hydrated, you're going to be a more cranky parent. You're going to be cranky at your kids and cranky at your husband. Okay, but if you take care of yourself, if you have the first breakfast and you stay hydrated and you're up before everyone's up and you've prepared all the meals over the weekend, there's going to be less problems because you've salt shaken it. Dan says salt shaker. So salt shaker means that you know where everything is. It's already organized. Okay, even if there's chaos, you know where the bread's kept. You know where the butter is. You can find it with your eyes closed. You've already solved that problem. Okay, so if we take care of ourselves, we can take care of others. Okay, and have mental health days from work. It goes into everything. If we don't speak our truth, if we don't set a boundary, people just disrespect it. They keep walking over the boundaries. They keep pushing the limits. Okay, so we don't need to people please anymore. I people please and all of that because I wanted to be liked and accepted within a healthcare system that was specialized because I loved that area. But it wasn't enough in the end. Like, I don't want to be treated like shit for another 12 months. If I stayed there another 12 months, the panic attacks would have increased. I wouldn't be sleeping at all. I would be in a mental institute. Like, it was pretty bad. Like, if you get put down on the daily for 12 months and you've got no support, what happens? Okay, complex PTSD, anxiety, depression, panic attacks. It's the same if you're in any environment that disrespects you. Okay, so when we understand What am I naturally good at? What's my natural energy and personality? What is it that I value? Okay, so if you value community and freedom and impact, hang around other people that value the same. But if you hang around people that gossip, negate, put people down, liars, you can smell them from a mile away. Well, if you're going to lie, what else are you lying about? If you're lying in the workplace, what are you lying about in the home place? So don't bullshit with me, okay? So you become stronger through shitty ass experiences. So if I'm put in an environment like that, say now or in the future, I do it differently now. I nip it in the ass. I'm like, I don't appreciate the way you're speaking to me. You can stop there. Right? And I use my tonality and my eyes, and people don't take the next step. And if they do, I incident report everything. I doc everything. I've always been a documenter. Document, date, time. Sorry, mate. We've had the discussion. You didn't like the coffee date or the team meeting. So I'm not mucking about with your bullshit. Okay? So you can be a bit like that, because that's called being a sledgehammer. And people that are in the dominant dysfunctional energy tend to be sledgehammers, but they can't handle another sledgehammer. They don't like it. They don't like being wrong. Okay, but what they're doing is wrong. The way that they treat people in the dysfunctional is wrong. So I'm actually being loving through communicating back to them that way, because no one else in the workplace would do that. Everyone would just placate to their bullshit. But when you've been through a lot in your life, you start to not tolerate people's bullshit, because you know that you can get paid better and be in a better environment without any of that. Okay, so you don't need to tolerate toxic relationships, toxic environments. Okay, so I'm advocating for people that might be in that. So self-care is important. If we don't take care of ourselves, if we don't put on the oxygen mask first, how can we take care of other people? You can use your children or your husband or your wife as an excuse. This is what I've heard this week from my coach. Or you can utilize them as your reason. So if you utilize them as your excuse, you're blaming it on them. Like, I can't do it because of this, or I've got to do this. Because you're going to be doing that for a minimum of 20 years of your life at a minimum commitment. Okay, so if you keep doing that for a 10 or 20 year period, you're going to become more burnt out and stressed, because you're not taking care of yourself. You're blaming it and excusing it because of your kids or your husband or wife. But if you utilize and amplify the giftings that you have, even though it's a hectic season for a lot of people, it's like you can utilize them as your reason. Well, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to role model that to my kids or my husband or wife, because I know in the long term this is going to be good for all of us. So you can change it and pre-frame it. Because if you keep excusing and saying to me, I'm stressed out, I'm overwhelmed, but I don't want to change, well, then nothing's going to change. And then what happens in a year, 5, 10 years if nothing changes? There's a breakdown of relationships, a breakdown of communication. There's more conflicts because people lie. They don't tell the truth in relationships. They're not transparent. Okay, they don't communicate their needs and wants and desires. Okay, and even if you do communicate your needs, wants and desires, give it time, be patient, work together. Don't just expect. Expectation is not a pretty thing. And every time you roll your eyes, okay, or in the conflict, that harms the couple bubble. That harms that union. That's a form of, like, not only disrespect, it's not cool. Okay, so we need to be clearer in our communication, and we need to do self-care, fill up our cup so we can I'm fully energized today and this whole week, because I love my business and I love helping people online. Okay, I'm a registered nurse, registered counselor, and much more than that. Like, I've studied so many courses. I'm having a 10-year break now, but it's like, through that, I'm able to do education and trainings for women, neurodiverse women all around Australia. I love working with the people in isolated areas. So they live alone and they're in these country towns. And, like, I don't know, I have a deep connection with people that live, I think, in isolated areas where there's not much community. They feel really different. And and they feel unseen and unheard. And then when we work together, they build this confidence and they express themselves and they start doing well in every area. So they leave toxic relationships. They end up later dating healthy, conscious men, and they get engaged. And some are about to get married this year. 2 of my clients are getting married this year because they've chosen healthy partners. But prior to that, they did the inner work. They realized that they can't avoid anymore. They can't avoid themselves. They can't keep running away. They've got to work on their stuff, and they've got to be okay with being uncomfortable. They've got to get used to stepping into their feminine energy and getting vulnerable instead of living in the masculine. So they'll live in the masculine energy, or the dominant energy, because of past hurts or past relationships, and they think that they're going to be lied to and cheated on again, so they don't trust. But you need to trust yourself, and through trusting yourself and healing your shit, you're going to have better relating in the dating world. There's a lot of good men out there, okay? There's a lot of loyal men out there, okay? It's just you're not, some women don't attract them in because they don't see it in their reticular activating system. All they see is what they've experienced in their past. I think men are probably, this comes from a woman, I think they're probably better than women, okay? In my own opinion, I could be wrong. There's good women out there, okay? There's good genders out there, okay? So I think we've just got to be open to that, all right? So self-care, how can you take care of yourself better? Is through understanding your energy, your personality, your values, and then check out your environments you're hanging around with. Block the ones and say goodbye to the ones that no longer serve you with love. See you later. Thanks for the adventure. I've learned a lot about how not to be like you. And now I'm going to respect myself. Okay, so we can learn from the shitty experiences. The shit can become the fertilizer. Okay? So self-care and the practical tools and energy audit. So you're looking at the positive. So what energizes you? And I want you to do more of that. And then the negative is what de-energizes you. If you don't like being around toxic people, toxic work environments, toxic relationships, toxic gossip and negativity, don't hang out with those people. And you don't need to be a people pleaser and over-explain why you're not attending the social function. It's a no from me. Okay, it's the same in the dating world. You don't need to explain why. Instead of ghosting, just say, I appreciate the invite, I'm unable to attend. Full stop. Okay, it's not like you've been with them for 14 plus years or 20 years. So you don't need to go into the detail. It's a no. And every no that you say, eventually there'll be a yes. Okay, but if you say yes to hundreds of people, then you're not respecting yourself or the person that you're actually meant to be with. If you just say yes to everything and everyone, all right, it depends on your intention. What's your intention? If you're wanting to be in a committed relationship, then you need to know what your no's are and what your yeses are. And you know what your no's and yeses are through getting to know yourself, falling in love with yourself or liking yourself, and being okay with your age and stage and your personality and your energy, and accepting that. And that's how you attract in the right people, the right friendships, the right communities, and the right partner. A healthy, conscious partner, healthy, conscious friendships, healthy, conscious communities, where you can communicate, have your boundaries, everyone can communicate, you have your boundaries in place, and there's emotional intelligence at a bare minimum. Okay? You can have that with a partner through having that with yourself first, because then you're never going to settle. You have a high standard of yourself, therefore you have a high standard for the man that you want to attract in. And that's how you know. So then when you go into the social event, you're like, okay, there's no attraction, there's no similar values, they're not on the same wavelength, not in the same type of age bracket, not on the same. That then, sorry, we lost reception. That then allows you, it becomes easier, right? And you then know who your friends are. You know their intentions, because you might go to some parties where people are into, say, if I say like drugs and alcohol, and you might not value that as your value, and you're like, okay, so that's what they're into, they're behaving that way, they're on a journey, not my person. Cool. Like, you just get really clear on your values, And your values are your treasures. Your values are what you act upon. So I don't give a shit if you say, I don't take drugs. If you hang about with your mates and you succumb to that, you don't have a strong enough will. And if you don't have a strong enough willpower, how can you abstain from anything else? Okay, so it shouldn't be the woman or the partner that they date or whoever to get them out of that. You have to get yourself out of that shit. If you're addicted to something and that substance is in control of you and you're not in control of it, you need to get in control of it. Okay, there's a big ass difference. So I think some people don't have the willpower and they succumb to social pressures because everyone else is doing it. And then it becomes a coping mechanism. Oh, I'm depressed and I have to. All my mates do it, so I have to. Well, okay. Is that actually who you are? Because if that's who you are, that's cool. But that doesn't interest me. Okay? And like, you got to be direct like that with people. And then they know where they stand. They're like, oh, okay. Thank you for letting me know that. Okay? You've got to be tough out there. You've got to know, that's what I did anyway, and like it worked for me. So I mean, I just think it works for everyone. If you're direct with people and tell them what you really think, I find that they respect you more and they know the boundary. But if you're just like la-di-da, la-di-da, then they don't know the boundary. You've got to, when you say yes mean yes, and when you say no mean no. And yes, you have the right to change your mind at any given time, as Dan says. Like, you can change your mind at any given time, and that's okay. But what are you a yes for and what are you a no for? That tells you what your non-negotiables are and what your negotiables are. Okay, so I'm a no for hardcore. I don't mind people drinking. I don't mind alcohol. Okay, I just don't like addictions where it's compulsive, where the drug and the alcohol is in control of that person and it possesses them. Okay, I don't have a problem with that stuff because I've chosen not to do any of that. I might have a few drinks every now and again, but it doesn't turn me on. It's not my go-to method of coping. I'd rather go for a walk or have an ice bath. Okay, so I'm okay with that substance. Okay, I'm in control of that. Other people, it's in control of them. Okay, so what's our negotiables and what's our non-negotiables? So a negotiable might be like, hey, like, I don't mind if you like go out every weekend, that's fine with me. Can you just like message me or catch up with me sometime over the weekend? I'm a pretty easygoing person. Like, I think the first 7 to 10 years of our relationship, Dan had boy weekends all the time and I encouraged it. I think you should be with your mates. It's all about hobbies and doing all of that. But there comes a time that I think, what's the word? I guess there comes a time where people might change and you're growing in different directions, and then people get over the party stage and they start to settle down. Okay? And then you're like, okay, finally, you're back to your normal grounded self, and then you go to the next stage of your relationship, right? So I'm all about people having freedom and being themselves, okay? But we've still got to have non-negotiables and negotiables. So for some of my clients, or for people, their non-negotiables might be cheating or affairs, because that, you know, affects people and there's then all the trust gone. For other people, a non-negotiable might be, okay, if the person has kids, that they're not going to date them, right? If Dan had kids, that's fine with me. That's not a non-negotiable. I can negotiate on that. That's cool. Like, I'm really happy for you. You're a great dad. Let's rock forth. I don't have a problem with that. Okay. So other people might. So it's just knowing what our own non-negotiables are and what our own negotiables are. But I'm going to be quiet now because I've got to go. So self-care. How do you take self-care? How do you take care of yourself? And if you're taking care of yourself, it takes care of other people. And that's it. That's it. G'day, Auntie Sharon. Auntie Shazza. How's Africa going? Thanks for your messages. I hope you're enjoying it over there. You should be back in a couple of weeks. Hey Viv, how are you? What's been happening for you? Hope you're going well. Very true said. Yes, I'm talking a lot. And then Shelley, how you go, mate? Lovely to have you here. Anyway, I hope you have a great weekend. So I'm going out for dinner with a lady who's also a coach and counsellor. Haven't seen her in a few months, so I like to go on dinner dates with other women in similar industries and sort of brainstorm and celebrate at the same time. So it'd be good to catch up with her. What are you all up to for the weekend? And I'm hoping to go to the market tomorrow to buy some really, really, really cool honey. Yeah, it's good getting proper honey. Anyway, remember that you are loved, you are worthy, you are significant, and each and every one of you have a purpose. God bless, happy Friday. Hopefully this helps someone. Just know you're not alone. To reduce overwhelm and stress and that feeling of stuckness, just listen to other people's stories, know they've been through something similar, and then ask for support. Talk to friends, family, talk to people you trust, and then create a plan. Like, how can I move through this? How can I do more of my energizing activities? And how can I decrease some of my de-energizing activities? Okay? And we don't need to be bitches about it. You can be nice about it, like, hey, not able to attend, thanks for asking. And then if friends get offended that you don't come to their social events, it's not an unconditional friendship. Okay? If people can't handle a no, how can they handle a 20-year or 40-year friendship or relationship or lifetime one? It's like, if you can't handle a no or people changing their mind, that's on you. It needs to be unconditional, not conditional. Okay, if people have conditions on them, they feel trapped. They feel like they can't be themselves or let their hair down. So what's always worked for me is I just let everyone be themselves and just do what you want to do. Okay, but if you're going to do drugs, you're not coming in the house. That's like my only thing. If people do that, you guys do it out there. Not interested, right? Still do what you want. Like, that's the boundary, right? We're going to have boundaries. Anyway, time to rock and roll. Bye, guys. I'll share the free group. If you want to work with me, how many days now? We go live on the 18th of March until the 3rd of June for our group coaching for neurodiverse women. If you're wanting to join that, that's the final group coaching for 2025. I'll be away doing family commitments until 2026. So if you're wanting online group support, direct message me or book in a 30-minute call. And we meet every Tuesday night from 5 to 6:30 p.m. Sydney time from the 18th of March till the 3rd of June. That is your time of self-care. That is your time of receiving counselling and coaching. And then you can do the self-paced course and the short 5 to 15-minute 12 videos in your own time outside of session because you value yourself. Okay, you're committed to yourself and the journey. This is a great way to have community, to have support, and to have accountability every week for 12 weeks. And it's going to allow you to create a healthy relationship with yourself and other people. Or share all the links. Okay, bye guys.